Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting live on Channels Television. Here are our main stories tonight. Army hierarchy insists it has full capacity to fight Boko Haram, denies plans to recruit 10,000 ex-militants for terror war. Part of the Synagogue Church of All Nations collapses, killing over 15 people. A middle-aged woman commits suicide in Lagos, stunning residents of Isheri Berger. Excuse me. And judge pronounces Oscar Pistorius guilty of culpable homicide, saying the state failed to prove he intended to kill. You can read up more on our top stories on our websites, channelstv.com and on youtube.com/channelsweb. If you're on the move, then visit m.channelstv.com so you can view us live with a mobile device and download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. We also encourage you to interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android, iOS and Windows 8 platforms. So if you have pictures or videos to share with us, tap the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions. You're looking at pictures from just a few hours ago of tragedy that happened in Lagos. Part of the Synagogue Church of All Nations in the Ikoton area of the metropolis collapsed earlier this evening. Many are said to be trapped inside. As so far, the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency has counted 15 bodies that have been pulled out from the rubble and have been taken to the mortuary. Our crew were prevented from gaining access into the church premises, and church members also prevented them from recording the actual portion of the building that is said to have collapsed. Also, they kept mum on the number of people who may have died from the collapsed building. It is a 6-story church building. Just a few hours ago, it was reported that members of the church and workers, including foreign worshippers, were carrying out construction work on that section of the building when it caved in and collapsed. So far, the church authorities have given no information about the incident, preventing even members of the public from knowing what exactly happened. To our coverage of the Ebola virus disease in Nigeria, the federal government is not going back on the set resumption date for schools, and that's final. These were the words of the Minister of Health, Professor W.H.O, when he visited the Ebola Disease Center in Lagos. Meanwhile, Ebola disease readiness programs are continuing all over the country. Our correspondent, Mary Alala Yusuf, reports.
The Minister of Health, Professor W.H.O, has dismissed rumors that the federal government was pressurized by the World Health Organization to review the reopening of schools from its earlier date of October 13th to September 22nd. At a press conference in Lagos, Professor Chukwu maintained that the new date of September 22nd is a joint agreement between the Ministry of Health and Education and that there's no plan to go back on it. The minister also said the South African woman suspected to have the Ebola disease who flew into the country is free of the virus but is being examined for other ailments. The Lagos State government says it supports the September 22, 2014 resumption date for schools announced by the federal government. A statement signed by the Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Latif Raji, explains that the last individual suspected to have been exposed to the virus will be discharged from observation on September 18, 2014, if he tests negative. They, however, promise to sustain the capacity to safely test, monitor, and isolate any case of Ebola if necessary. An Ebola sensitization session has been taking place in Akure, the Ondo State capital, where the resource person, an expert who has worked in the endemic areas of Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone, is training different health personnel on techniques of response to the Ebola virus disease threat. Later, the State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Adadevoh, talks about the merits of a cremation bill which has been passed by the House of Assembly.
infectious or contagious body are best disposed in line with W.H.O recommendation by cremation, so that they don't constitute a menace to the entire society or the community or the state, as the case may be. And the next phase for us is to set up the crematorium.
In a bid to make sure EVD does not spread in Rivers State, a group of pharmacists have donated hand sanitizers to the Niger Delta Development Commission. They took the members of the NDDC through a session of proper application of the product. It is expected that these hand sanitizers will be distributed among the Niger Delta states. This is an interfaith meeting organized by the Kaduna State government to sensitize Christian and Muslim leaders about the Ebola virus disease. During the meeting, the governor gives them information about the disease and enjoins them to sensitize their congregations. He also reveals efforts being made by the state to be ready for any disease outbreak.
Government is working hard to ensure that we have an isolation center. This isolation center, we have to have it in a town, not in a village or not in a place where we don't have the necessary social amenities like electricity, water, and the rest, and access route.
The governor also expresses plans to train 13,000 teachers to be EVD ready ahead of the school resumption date. The threat of EVD seems to be paling in the face of effective containment and management efforts, but the watchwords are still sensitization and alertness. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
Dr. Ameyo Adadevoh was one of the primary contacts of the index case of Ebola virus disease here in Lagos, Nigeria. Just last night, a tribute and requiem service was held in her honor at the medical consultant who is credited with the minimal spread of the disease in Nigeria. The service had in attendance individuals beyond the medical circle who seized the opportunity to mourn with her family and celebrate her sacrifice as well as her professionalism. Our correspondent, Ini Thompson, reports.
The final journey of Dr. Ameyo Stella Adadevoh begins with a night of tribute in Lagos. And irrespective of social status, every walk of life is represented. The next day, it's time to honor a virtuous woman whom without her effort, the spread of the deadly Ebola virus disease would have been unimaginable in Nigeria. Dr. Adadevoh was a physician who restrained the late Liberian-born American man, Patrick Sawyer, from leaving her medical facility.
She understood the hazard of her job. She did understand that as a doctor, by promptings and dictates of Hippocratic oath, I could be exposed. She knows. Sufficiently, she was aware. And that is what this sacrifice is all about. You cannot make sacrifice in ignorance. There was the full knowledge of what you are sacrificing.
Many have attested to her bravery and are forever thankful for her effort. The Minister of Health, Pt.2, meanwhile, reminds all that the fight against the deadly virus must be sustained.
As long as even one individual anywhere in the world still has Ebola virus disease, all of us individually and as nations, we all at risk. But then, in honor, the memory of this very valiant, brave Nigerian heroic doctor, all of us must play our part. Government, the minister, the individual, the citizens, everyone must play our individual roles. We know we can do it.
The body of Dr. Adadevoh has been cremated in accordance to the World Health Organization prescribed standard. For the meantime, the family members appreciate every kind word and gesture, but desire to spend a time of grief in privacy. Dr. Adadevoh comes across as a true descendant of one who comes from a lineage of great people. But this is not the basis on which the call for her to be given a posthumous national honor is being placed on. Instead, the fact that Nigeria is being applauded for dealing with Ebola disease can be traced to her sacrifice and her commitment. But many people have said that a better honor will be if her lifestyle and a commitment to work is being emulated. Ini Thompson reporting for Channels Television.
When the News at 10 returns, a presidency moves to check the activities of over 7,000 Goodluck Jonathan support groups ahead of the 2015 presidential elections. Please join us again.